I'm Scott Hansen. I'm a professor at Southern Utah University, and this module of SolidWorks will include instruction on how to create a helix. So we'll start by moving the cursor to the upper left portion of the screen. We'll left click on New, left click on Part, left click on OK, left click on the Sketch tab, left click on the Sketch icon. We'll move the cursor to the front plane. When it becomes highlighted, we left click one time. We'll right click. Pop-up menu will appear. We'll left click on Display Grid. Then we'll move our cursor up to the circle command. We'll left click once. Move our cursor to the origin and left click one time, and we'll drag a circle out. Left click, and then we'll right click, select. We'll move our cursor up to the Smart Dimension command, left click on Smart Dimension, move our cursor to the very edge of the circle, we'll left click one time, we'll drag a dimension out and we'll enter 4. Then we'll left click on the green check mark. We'll move our cursor to the middle of the screen, right click, a pop-up menu will appear, we'll left click on Exit Sketch. And then we'll left click on the Features tab, and then we'll move our cursor to the right, where we can left click on the Curves icon. We'll left click on the little arrow below Curves, and we'll left click on the Helix Spiral. The Helix Spiral command will come up. It's not a bad idea to push the mouse wheel down and rotate the part around so we can see kind of what it's doing. For our pitch, we'll enter a 2. We'll enter 10 for the revolutions. And then we'll left click on the green check mark, and we'll wheel it out with the mouse wheel and then wheel it back. And so now we have basically the outline of a helix, and then we're going to create a kind of a sweep that's going to go along and follow this line. This is a little more of an advanced operation compared to some of the other functions in SolidWorks. So now we'll move our cursor over to the left, and we're looking for a plane that we can project geometry on. The top plane would work, and so would the right plane. We're going to begin a new sketch and project the end of this onto the right plane. So we're going to right click, we'll left click on Sketch, and now we have a plane that intersects the part. So we'll push our mouse wheel down and we'll just kind of see that this plane goes right through the middle of this sketch. Then we'll move our cursor up to the Convert Entities icon. We'll left click on Convert Entities, and we're going to create a 2-dimensional sketch or entity of this helix on our sketch plane. We simply move the cursor over the sketch plane, or over the spring, sorry, the helix. Once it becomes highlighted, we'll left click on the green check mark, and what we have now is a 2-dimensional representation of this helix on our sketch plane. So if we look at our sketch perpendicular, we can see that this has converted the 3-dimensional helix onto our sketch plane as a 2-dimensional drawing. Then we'll move our cursor up to the Circle command. We'll left click on Circle. We'll left click on the endpoint. This endpoint is in reference to the endpoint of the coil that's sticking out past the edge of the work plane that you can see there. We'll just drag a circle out. We'll left click, right click, select, and we'll left click on Smart Dimension and left click on the circle, and we'll drag a dimension out and enter a 1. And then we'll left click on the green check mark. Now if you look, the very edge of the helix is being represented by the circle that we just drew. We'll zoom in here and take a look. The end point of the helix, which is highlighted right now, is represented by this two-dimensional line that's been created on this sketch plane. So now we have to delete the two-dimensional representation of the helix because it doesn't create a closed profile. So we'll move our cursor over the helix, the two-dimensional projected or converted helix. Once it becomes highlighted, we'll right click and we'll left click on delete. So now we just have this circle that is going to follow this helix around, creating a coil. So we'll right click, left click on exit sketch, we'll left click on the features tab, we'll left click on swept boss base. Okay, sketch 2 is the sketch that's already been selected. We'll left click on the path box, making it highlighted, making it blue. We'll left click on the helix itself. And sometimes you get a preview and sometimes you don't. We'll left click again on the profile icon. And that way it now has, it understands what we're using for the sketch as opposed to what we're using for the spiral helix. And we'll simply left click on the green check mark, and we now have a helix that has been created from a two-dimensional sketch. And that concludes this module on the creation of a helix.